The red dust swirled against the dome of New Boston Colony. Gregory Walsh pulled his jacket tighter as he hurried through the agricultural sector. Mars was having one of its worst dust storms in years. Greenhouse sectors secure, he muttered to himself, checking off items on his tablet. At 45, Gregory had spent 15 years on Mars working as a botanist. His job was simple: make things grow where they shouldn't. Today, like most days, he worked alone. A crash from the far end of Greenhouse 7 made him jump. Gregory froze, listening. The colony had strict rules about who could enter the agricultural domes. Another sound, like something being knocked over. "Hello," he called out. "Security will be here in 5 minutes, so you might as well show yourself." This was a lie. Security was understaffed and wouldn't come for a minor disturbance, but whoever was hiding didn't know that. Gregory grabbed a shovel and moved carefully between rows of tomato plants. The noise had come from behind the seed storage cabinets. As he approached, he heard a soft, strange sound, something between a whimper and a hum. "I'm not going to hurt you," Gregory said, lowering the shovel, "but you're not supposed to be in here." A small blue hand appeared from behind the cabinet, followed by the strangest face Gregory had ever seen. The creature was child-sized with skin the color of Earth's oceans. Large, round eyes blinked up at him. 3 eyes, not 2. The middle eye was smaller and seemed to glow slightly. Gregory stumbled backward. What the alien child, because that's clearly what it was, tried to run. But after 2 steps, it collapsed to the ground, breathing hard. Without thinking, Gregory knelt beside the small creature. Up close, he could see the child was thin, with marks on its blue skin that might have been bruises. Strange patterns ran across its arms, glowing faintly then fading. "Are you hurt?" Gregory asked, knowing the alien probably couldn't understand him. "Where did you come from?" The child made that humming sound again and pointed upward. "Space. You came from space." Gregory felt foolish, stating the obvious. All aliens came from space. "I mean, which ship?" The child's 3 eyes filled with tears. It made gestures with its hands that looked like something breaking apart. Gregory remembered the news last week about a refugee ship that had been denied landing rights. The official report said all passengers had been redirected to Europa Station, but rumors told a different story. Some said escape pods had been launched toward Mars. "You're one of them, aren't you? From that ship?" The alien child nodded slowly, seeming to understand his tone, if not his words. Gregory looked at his tablet. He should report this. Colony law was clear about harboring unregistered aliens, but the child was clearly scared and hurt. "You got a name, kid?" he asked. The child made a sound like Zix era. Gregory tried to repeat it, but couldn't get his tongue around the strange syllables. "Mind if I call you Zitty for now?" The alien tilted its head, then nodded. "Are you hungry?" At this, the child's face lit up. Literally. The patterns on its skin glowed brighter, and it nodded eagerly. Gregory sighed. He was breaking at least 5 colony laws, but he couldn't leave the kid here. "Come on then. I've got food at my place. We'll figure something out." He held out his hand. After a moment's hesitation, Ziggy placed a small 3-fingered hand in his. Outside, the dust storm was getting worse. Gregory wrapped his jacket around the small alien and hurried toward the residential dome. As they walked, he felt the child trembling. "It's okay," Gregory said. "I've got you." He didn't know what he was going to do with an alien child, but one thing was certain. He wasn't turning Ziggy in. Not today, anyway. As they reached his apartment door, Gregory looked down at the strange little face peering from his jacket. "What have I gotten myself into?" he whispered. The alien child blinked all 3 eyes, and for the first time smiled. 1 week had passed since Gregory brought Ziggy home. His small apartment, once quiet and empty, now buzzed with curious energy. Ziggy explored everything, touching, smelling, and sometimes tasting objects that caught the alien child's interest. "No, don't eat that." Gregory rushed forward as Ziggy picked up a cleaning tablet. "That's not food. It's soap." Ziggy dropped the tablet and made a low humming sound that Gregory had started to recognize as embarrassment. The patterns on the alien's blue skin flashed a soft pink. Gregory sighed and opened his fridge. Here, real food. Feeding Ziggy had been tricky. Through trial and error, Gregory discovered the alien loved sweet fruits but couldn't handle spicy foods. Meat made Ziggy sick, but protein bars worked fine. A knock at the door made them both freeze. Gregory put a finger to his lips and pointed to the bedroom. "Hide," he whispered. Ziggy scurried into the bedroom as Gregory opened the door. His neighbor Diane Powell stood there with a concerned look on her face. "Everything okay in there?" "I heard voices," she said. Gregory forced a smile. "Just watching old Earth shows." Diane raised an eyebrow. She had short gray hair and kind eyes, but those eyes missed nothing. As the colony's senior medical officer, she had a way of seeing through lies. "Really?" "Because Mrs. Liu next door swears she saw you bring someone into your apartment last week, during the dust storm." Gregory's heart raced. "I don't know what she's talking about." From the bedroom came a crash. Diane's eyes widened. "I should go," Gregory said quickly, trying to close the door. Diane stuck her foot in the doorway. "Gregory Walsh, I've known you for 10 years. You're a terrible liar." She lowered her voice. "Is it one of the refugees from that ship? People are talking." Gregory hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Let me in," Diane said. "I can help." After a moment, Gregory stepped aside. Diane entered and closed the door behind her. "Ziggy," Gregory called softly. "It's okay. She's a friend." Slowly, Ziggy emerged from the bedroom, eyes wide with fear. Diane gasped when she saw the 3 eyes and blue skin with glowing patterns. "Oh my God," she whispered. "A Nazari child. I thought they were all gone." Gregory stared at her. "You know what Ziggy is." Diane nodded slowly. "Before Mars, I worked on Europa Station. We had contact with the Nazari trading ships." She knelt down to Ziggy's level. "Hello there, little one." To Gregory's surprise, Ziggy walked right up to Diane and touched her hand. The patterns on Ziggy's skin turned a warm yellow. "The patterns are how they communicate emotions," Diane explained. "Yellow means trust." "Can you help us?" Gregory asked. "If security finds out, they'll take the child away," Diane finished his sentence. "The government has been looking for Nazari survivors. Their ability to interface with technology is valuable." Gregory felt sick. Ziggy's just a kid who needs medical attention. Diane observed, noticing Ziggy's thin frame. "And proper documentation if you want to keep them safe." Over the next few days, Diane brought medicine and food specially formulated for Ziggy's needs. The alien child grew stronger. Even more surprising was how quickly Ziggy began to learn English. "Star," Ziggy said one night, pointing out the window at the night sky. Gregory nearly spilled his coffee. "Yes, star. That's right." Ziggy's skin patterns glowed bright blue with happiness. "Home. Star. Far." Gregory felt his chest tighten. He sat beside the small alien who was looking up at the stars with such longing. "I'm sorry you can't go home," he said softly. Ziggy turned to him, all 3 eyes blinking. "New home. Here." The alien pointed at Gregory's apartment, then at Gregory himself. Gregory smiled as something warm spread through his chest. It had been only 2 weeks, but somehow this strange blue child had become important to him. "Yes," he agreed. "New home. For as long as you need." Outside the window, Mars' smaller moon rose over the dome. Inside, a human and an alien child sat together, watching the stars and beginning to understand each other. 3 months had passed since Ziggy arrived. The alien child now spoke in full sentences and had memorized every book in Gregory's small collection. More books, please, Ziggy said one morning while eating breakfast. The patterns on the blue skin flashed bright purple, their color for curiosity. Gregory smiled. We'll go to the library today. Diane made you a temporary ID card, remember? This was their first planned trip outside the apartment together. Gregory felt nervous, but keeping Ziggy hidden forever wasn't possible. As they walked through the colony dome, people stared. Some looked curious, others frightened. A few children pointed. Why they look? Ziggy asked, gripping Gregory's hand tightly. Because you are special, Gregory said. They haven't seen someone like you before. At the library, they met Professor Alan Wright, an old friend of Diane's who studied alien species. The white-haired man adjusted his glasses as he looked at Ziggy. Remarkable, he whispered. A juvenile Nazari. May I speak with you privately, Gregory? They moved to a quiet corner while Ziggy explored the children's section. Do you know what you have there? Professor Wright asked. Gregory frowned. A child who needed help. Not just any child. The Nazari were one of the most advanced species in the Cygnus system. Their ability to connect with technology is unmatched. The professor lowered his voice. Their entire civilization was destroyed in a war 5 years ago. Most people thought they were extinct. Gregory watched Ziggy carefully placing books back exactly where they found them. Ziggy never talks about the past. Trauma, perhaps, the professor suggested. Or maybe they were too young to remember. He handed Gregory a tablet. Look at this. The screen showed an adult Nazari standing before what looked like a floating city. The alien skin had the same patterns as Ziggy's, but more complex. This symbol here, Professor Wright pointed to a mark on the adult Nazari's forehead, indicates royal heritage. Ziggy has a similar mark, though less developed. Gregory's mouth fell open. Royal? You mean Ziggy is? Possibly from their ruling family. Yes. Just then, a woman in a dark uniform entered the library. She scanned the room, and her eyes locked on Ziggy. Security, Professor Wright whispered. We need to leave. Now. Gregory hurried to Ziggy's side. Time to go, he said softly. But it was too late. The woman approached them. Gregory Walsh, she asked, showing an official badge. I'm Susan Blackwood, Intelligence Division. I need to speak with you about your alien ward. Gregory stepped in front of Ziggy. We have proper documentation. Susan's face remained neutral. This isn't about documentation. It's about national security. She looked at Ziggy. The Nazari have abilities that could be valuable to Earth government. Ziggy is a child, not a resource, Gregory said firmly. Susan smiled thinly. A child who can interface directly with our computer systems. We've been monitoring unusual network activity from your apartment. Ziggy tugged on Gregory's sleeve. Sorry, the alien whispered. I talk to stars when you sleep. Talk to stars? Gregory asked, confused. Professor Wright's eyes widened. They've been accessing communication satellites. Reaching out. To whom? Susan demanded. Ziggy's patterns flashed rapidly, colors shifting from blue to green to red. Others like me. Hidden. Scared. Susan spoke into her wrist communicator. Target confirmed. Send team for extraction. Gregory felt panic rise in his chest. He looked at Professor Wright, who nodded subtly toward the emergency exit. Run, Gregory whispered to Ziggy. They bolted for the door, the professor creating a distraction by knocking over a bookshelf. They raced through the colony corridors, security alarms blaring behind them. Where go? Ziggy asked, struggling to keep up with Gregory's longer strides. To Diane's. She'll know what to do. As they ran, Ziggy's patterns glowed brighter than Gregory had ever seen. The alien child placed a hand on a security panel they passed. To Gregory's surprise, all the doors in the corridor sealed shut behind them, blocking their pursuers. How did you do that? Gregory asked, amazed. Ziggy's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. I remember now. I am Zixera, not just child. The alien's middle eye glowed brightly. I am memory keeper of House Nazari. Gregory didn't understand what that meant, but one thing was clear. There was much more to Ziggy than he had ever imagined. 5 years passed since the day Gregory and Ziggy escaped from the intelligence division. Much had changed. After months of legal battles, with help from Professor Wright and Diane, Gregory had won the right to legally adopt Ziggy. Now 15 by Earth years, Ziggy attended the Mars Academy for Enhanced Learning. The blue alien teenager stood at a workstation in the Advanced Engineering Lab, long fingers moving quickly over a holographic display. "You're still here." "Class ended an hour ago," said Olivia Grant, Ziggy's best friend. The tall human girl leaned against the doorway, her school bag slung over her shoulder. Ziggy looked up, middle eye blinking. "Just finishing my project." On the display floated a complex diagram of what looked like a communications array, but with parts no human engineer had ever designed. "Headmaster Miller thinks you're going to win the science competition again," Olivia said. Ziggy's skin patterns flashed a modest yellow. "The quantum relay isn't perfect yet." Headmaster Vincent Miller had initially refused to admit an alien student to his prestigious academy. But after Ziggy scored the highest entrance exam results in the school's history, he had changed his mind. As they walked home together, Ziggy's 3 eyes looked up at the dome ceiling, beyond which Mars' pink sky was darkening to night. "Something wrong?" Olivia asked. "I heard from the others again," Ziggy said quietly. The others were the scattered Nazari survivors Ziggy had connected with through the colony's communication systems. Over years, Ziggy had found 12 more of their kind living in secret across the solar system. "What did they say?" "Our homeworld is not completely destroyed," Ziggy replied. "Some of our people still live there, but they cannot leave. The blockade is too strong." Ziggy had gradually recovered more memories of their past. They remembered their parents, the royal house, and the war that had scattered their people. When Ziggy arrived home, Gregory was waiting with dinner ready. His hair had more gray now, but his smile was the same. "How was school?" he asked. "Good. I finished the quantum relay design." Gregory nodded. Though he didn't understand most of Ziggy's advanced projects, he always listened. "And something else happened," Ziggy added. "The patterns on their skin shifted to a deep blue. Their serious color. Galactic Tech Corporation called me. They want to buy my faster-than-light communication algorithm." Gregory put down his fork. "That's the one you created last year, for your 14th birthday project." Ziggy nodded. "They're offering 5 million credits." Gregory choked on his water. 5 million. "I want to accept," Ziggy said. "Not for the money, but they have the resources to build it properly." Gregory studied the young alien who had grown so much from the scared child he found in his greenhouse. Ziggy was taller now, their blue skin darker, the royal mark on their forehead more defined. "This is what you want?" Gregory asked. "It's what I need to do," Ziggy replied. "This technology can help me find and connect all remaining Nazari. Maybe even help free our homeworld someday." The next morning, they met with representatives from Galactic Tech in a virtual meeting. The executives looked impressed, but also slightly nervous facing the young blue alien whose mathematics skills had revolutionized interstellar communications theory. "You understand we'll need full rights to the algorithm," said the lead executive. "I agree to license it," Ziggy countered, "not sell it, and I require a position on your development team." The executives exchanged glances. "You're very young." "Age is measured differently for my species," Ziggy said, their patterns glowing with confidence. "And no one understands this technology better than I do." After the meeting, Gregory found Ziggy looking at old star charts of the Cygnus system. "They agreed to everything," Ziggy said without looking up. "This is just the beginning, Gregory." "Beginning of what?" Gregory asked. Ziggy's 3 eyes met his, their middle eye glowing with purpose. "My path home. And to something bigger." Gregory nodded slowly, realizing that the small alien child he had rescued was growing into someone extraordinary, someone with plans that reached far beyond Mars or even the solar system. "Whatever you need," he said, "I'm here." Ziggy's patterns flashed warm red, their color for love. "I know. You always have been." 10 years had passed since Gregory found Ziggy in his greenhouse. At 20, Ziggy had grown to full height, still shorter than most humans, but with an unmistakable presence. The once frightened refugee child was now the founder and CEO of Nazari Solutions, the fastest-growing technology company in the solar system. Gregory sat in the waiting room of Ziggy's office on Earth, feeling out of place among the sleek furniture and busy employees. He watched as humans and a few aliens hurried past with important-looking documents and holographic displays. "Mr. Walsh." A young assistant appeared. "Ziggy will see you now." The office had a full wall of windows overlooking the rebuilt Seattle skyline. Ziggy stood looking out at the view, their blue skin now a deeper shade with more complex patterns than when they were a child. The mark on their forehead, the royal symbol, was now fully formed and occasionally glowed with its own light. "Gregory," Ziggy turned, all three eyes brightening. "I'm sorry to keep you waiting." Gregory hugged his adopted child. Despite Ziggy's success and growing power, they still felt like the same person he had raised. "How was Mars?" Ziggy asked. "Still red and dusty," Gregory joked. "My greenhouse is doing well." They sat at a table made from material that seemed to shift colors slightly as they spoke. "I have news," Ziggy said, patterns flashing excited green. "We established contact with the Nazari homeworld." Gregory's eyes widened. "After all these years? How?" "The quantum network is complete. 23 relay stations across 4 star systems." Pride showed in Ziggy's voice. "We can communicate instantly across distances that used to take years." "And your people? How many survived?" Ziggy's patterns dimmed slightly. "Less than we hoped. About 5,000. They've been hiding underground since the war." They touched a panel on the table, and a hologram appeared showing a once beautiful world now scared by massive weapons impacts. "I'm going there, Gregory. Next month." Gregory felt his heart sink. That's halfway across the galaxy. "With our new wormhole drive, it's just 3 weeks of travel," Ziggy explained. "I need to see it. To help them." A knock interrupted them. Patricia Yang, Ziggy's human business partner, entered. She was tall with sharp eyes and quick movements. "Sorry to interrupt, but Richard Cole is making trouble again," she said. "His company is claiming patent infringement on the medical regeneration tech." Ziggy's patterns flashed with annoyed orange. "He knows those patents are based on completely different principles. He's just trying to slow us down before the Jupiter colony contract is signed," Patricia said. Gregory watched the exchange, realizing how much Ziggy's world had grown beyond him. His simple botanist knowledge seemed small compared to the galactic business and politics Ziggy now navigated daily. After Patricia left, Gregory asked the question that had been bothering him. "Are you happy, Ziggy? With all this?" He gestured to the office, the company, the empire that was growing around them. Ziggy was quiet for a moment. "This isn't about happiness, Gregory. It's about purpose." Their 3 eyes looked distant. "Do you remember when you found me? I had nothing. My people had nothing. And now? Now we have a chance." Ziggy's patterns formed complex shapes Gregory had never seen before. The Nazari were once keepers of knowledge and builders of bridges between worlds. We can be that again. Ziggy opened a drawer and removed a small device. They placed it on the table where it projected images of massive space structures. "These are colony ships," Ziggy explained. "We're building 3. Large enough to transport all remaining Nazari and create homes for other displaced species too." Gregory stared at the scale of the projects. "This must cost billions." "It does, but that's what the company is for." Ziggy smiled. "Not just profit, purpose." As they talked into the evening, Gregory began to understand. The small alien child he had rescued was building something unprecedented, not just a business empire but a bridge between worlds, species, and possibilities. "I'm proud of you," Gregory said simply. Ziggy's patterns glowed warm red. "Everything I build began with you, Gregory, with one human who showed kindness to a scared alien child." 20 years had passed since Gregory found Ziggy in the greenhouse. The small refugee child was now 40 by Earth years, middle-aged for a Nazari, and the head of an organization that spanned 3 star systems. Gregory, now in his 60s with white hair and wrinkled hands, stood on the observation deck of Nazari Prime, the massive space station orbiting Jupiter. Below him, the gas giant's swirling clouds created patterns that reminded him of the ones on Ziggy's skin. "Enjoying the view?" a familiar voice asked. Gregory turned to see Ziggy approaching. The years had changed them both, but Ziggy's 3 eyes still held the same curious light. "It's beautiful," Gregory said. "Hard to believe all this started in my little greenhouse." Ziggy smiled. "I think about that day often." They stood in comfortable silence, watching a fleet of ships approach Jupiter from deeper space. The ships bore the symbol of the Nazari Collective, what Ziggy's company had evolved into over the years. "The delegation from Proxima Centauri arrived safely," Ziggy said. "That makes representatives from 27 different species attending tomorrow's council." 27. Gregory whistled. "That's a lot of different aliens to make happy." Ziggy's patterns shifted to a calm blue. "They're not here because they're happy. They're here because they're hopeful." The Nazari Collective had grown beyond a simple technology company. It now operated as a peacekeeping and development organization, helping worlds recover from environmental damage and mediating conflicts between species. General Frank Martinez, a tall human with a stern face, approached them with a tablet in hand. "The security sweeps are complete," he reported to Ziggy, "but we've detected unusual activity near the Cygnus border." Ziggy's middle eye narrowed slightly. "The Vrax?" Martinez nodded. "Possibly. Our sensors can't confirm yet." The Vrax were the species that had nearly destroyed the Nazari homeworld years ago. Recently, their ships had been spotted near collective territories. "Increase patrols but maintain distance," Ziggy ordered. "We don't want to provoke them." As Martinez left, Lisa Bennett, the collective's chief diplomat, joined them. The red-haired woman had worked with Ziggy for 15 years. "The Aldebarans are asking about the new terraforming technology again," she said. "They're offering trade access to their crystal mines." Ziggy considered this. "Tell them yes, but we want refugees' resettlement rights included in the deal." Gregory listened to these exchanges with a mixture of pride and amazement. The decisions Ziggy made affected millions of lives across multiple worlds. It was hard to reconcile this powerful leader with the frightened child he had once found. Later, they traveled by private shuttle to New Nazari, a moon of Jupiter that had been transformed from a barren rock to a lush world with blue oceans and silver cities. As they descended, Gregory saw hundreds of blue-skinned Nazari moving through beautiful curved buildings. "Your people have come a long way," Gregory said. "Our people," Ziggy corrected. "You're as much a part of this as any Nazari." In the central dome of the main city, Ziggy led Gregory to a special building, a school for orphan children from war-torn worlds. Inside, young beings of a dozen different species played and learned together. Some had blue skin like Ziggy, others had scales, fur, or even transparent bodies. "This is what it's all about," Ziggy said softly. "Not the ships or the technology or the trade agreements." Gregory watched as a small Nazari child helped a human boy with a puzzle. Second chances. Exactly. Ziggy's patterns formed shapes that Gregory had learned meant deep satisfaction. The Empire exists to create safe places for those who have none. That evening, they sat on a balcony overlooking the new world Ziggy had built. In the distance, construction vessels worked on even more habitats and cities. "Do you ever think about how different things might have been?" Gregory asked. "If I hadn't found you that day?" Ziggy's patterns shifted to contemplative purple. Sometimes, but I prefer to think about what comes next. And what does come next? Gregory asked. You've already built an empire. What more is there? Ziggy pointed to the stars above them. There are still worlds that need help. Species being hunted to extinction. Children without homes. Their three eyes seem to look beyond the visible universe. The work is just beginning, Gregory. Gregory smiled, realizing that despite all the power and influence, Ziggy was still the same compassionate being he had raised, just operating on a much larger scale. 40 years had passed since the day Gregory found a small blue alien hiding in his greenhouse. Now in his 80s, Gregory's steps were slow as he walked through the gardens of his retirement home on New Nazari. His hair was completely white, his back slightly bent, but his eyes remained sharp and clear. The garden paths were lined with plants from 100 different worlds, including some from the original Mars greenhouse where he had first met Ziggy. A fitting tribute, he thought, to where everything began. They're ready for you, Mr. Walsh, said Governor Henry Russell, the human administrator of New Nazari Colony. The younger man offered his arm for support. Thank you, Henry, Gregory said. Is Ziggy already there? Yes. All the council members have arrived too. Today was important, the 40th anniversary of the founding of the Nazari Collective, now commonly known throughout the galaxy as simply the Collective. What had begun as a small technology company had grown into a federation of over 50 worlds and 30 different species. The celebration was being held in the Grand Unity Hall, a vast circular building with a dome that seemed to disappear into the sky. As Gregory entered, the crowd of thousands, humans, Nazari, and dozens of other species, rose to their feet. A path cleared to the central platform where Ziggy waited. At 60, the Nazari leader stood tall and dignified. The patterns on their blue skin had grown more intricate with age, now forming complex designs that shifted with subtle grace. The royal mark on their forehead glowed with steady light. As Gregory slowly made his way to the platform, he passed many faces he knew. Diane Powell, now an elderly woman who had helped hide Ziggy all those years ago. Professor Wright, who had revealed Ziggy's royal heritage. Olivia Grant, still Ziggy's loyal friend, and now head of education for the Collective. And Patricia Yang, who had helped build the business empire. When Gregory reached the platform, Ziggy took his hand with 3 blue fingers. My oldest and dearest friend, Ziggy said, their voice carrying through the hall without need for amplification. The human who changed everything. Gregory felt tears in his eyes. You did all the hard work, not me. Ziggy smiled. I merely built upon the foundation you gave me. Compassion, courage, and the belief that being different didn't make me less. Together, they turned to face the crowd. On large screens above, images played showing the history of the Collective, from its humble beginnings on Mars to the present day, with its massive colony ships, peaceful settlements, and scientific wonders. 40 years ago, Ziggy addressed the gathering. I was a frightened child with no home, no family, and no future. One human's kindness changed that. They squeezed Gregory's hand. Today, the Collective spans 53 worlds, provides homes for refugees of 32 species, and maintains peace in 3 star systems. A group of children came forward, young Nazari, humans, and other species, all orphans who had found new homes through the Collective's programs. But our greatest achievement isn't measured in territories or technologies, Ziggy continued. It's measured in lives changed, in second chances given. The children presented Gregory with a crystal sculpture showing a small alien child holding hands with a human adult. Later, as the celebration continued, Gregory sat in a quiet corner, feeling tired but deeply content. Ziggy joined him, sitting close. How are you feeling? Ziggy asked. Old. Gregory laughed softly, but happy. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the diverse crowd mingling peacefully. Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this? Ziggy asked. That day in the greenhouse, Gregory shook his head. Never. I just knew a child needed help. That's all it took. Ziggy's patterns formed shapes of deep affection, one act of kindness that changed galaxies. Gregory felt his strength fading, a tiredness that had been growing for months. Ziggy sensed it too and held his hand tighter. I'm proud of you, Gregory whispered. So proud of what you've built. We built it together, Ziggy said, and it will continue growing long after we're gone. As the celebration lights dimmed and the twin moons of Jupiter rose outside the dome, Gregory closed his eyes, feeling perfectly at peace. The frightened alien child he had once rescued now ruled a peaceful empire built on the simple foundation of compassion he had taught them. The circle was complete.